Guys, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
I'm
Christmas.
doing good, man. No, it was actually a good Christmas. I ate a lot.
As you do.
Food left over. Yeah, and the year is nearly ending as well. A couple more days.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, before we even get into the main discussion, guys, is there anything that you want to mention regarding the best films that you've seen this week?
Not quite film because it's been super busy with the whole Christmas period. So not quite film, but I would say I did give the first episode of What If, the new Marvel animated show, a quick watch. That was a good introduction episode to the new season, and looking forward to checking out sort of what the other 8 episodes are saying.
I haven't seen anything amazing this week, but the best thing is probably Gyeongsang Creature, which is a Netflix series. It's basically Korean Stranger Things. So the idea is basically in World War II, in occupied Korea, the Japanese are conducting on some kind of monster, and the story is told from the point of view of Korean characters who are trying to survive the occupation and also trying to figure out what's going on with people disappearing, and what the Japanese are up to. So it's a bit slow, but the good parts are pretty good.
Okay.
You, Jonathan?
I haven't watched anything new, man. I've been finding it hard to find anything. So I'm just currently just watching my series called The Good Doctor, pretty much about a doctor of autism going through a bunch of trials and tribulations. Literally. Yeah, it's just I'm just so hard to find things, especially on streaming. It's just it's just
There's too many things to kind of click through at the moment.
literally, it's like so many junk,
Yeah.
which is why I think our podcast is so relevant. Eye of the Storm, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, wait, before we even get into it, should we actually explain to the people watching what Eye of the Storm means?
Who wants to take it away?
I vote Daniel.
So the idea is basically that these are pretty stormy times in the movie industry. The old paradigm of the last decade of the big franchises, especially superheroes, is kind of ending, and everybody kind of knows that they're over, but it's not really clear what comes next. And so we're kind of sitting in the middle of the storm, trying to wait for it to pass and seeing what the landscape looks like after it's passed. That's the basic idea.
The one, Danny G. Is there a question you guys want to ask me?
Aquaman. Did you see it? What's your opinion?
I think Aquaman is the functional equivalent of Ant-Man.
Okay.
It was an alright film. I haven't really been a big fan of like the Aquaman movies, even though there's only kind of been 2. I think his character is like a good team member, but in terms of his character alone holding weight for a whole movie, it's just not for me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's just not for me. Even like by the way, is it Jason Momoa?
Yeah.
Great performer, great actor. He kills his character. I love how he has like his whole comedic. He adds his own like comedic tone to it. Like as a character, he's amazing. As an actor, he's amazing. I just think just the whole Aquaman storyline just kind of like isn't for me. Even like for the villain as well. I think I have a big issue with the villain. By the way, what's the villain? The guy that shoots the red beams. What's his name? Yeah. Actor as well, amazing. Performance-wise, amazing. It's just he didn't provide enough fear factor for me. I think it was the same thing even with like it's called completely different, but even with Miss Marvel, the villain in that movie wasn't really it wasn't hitting. Exactly same with Black Manta. Just personally for me, just the stakes weren't high enough for him. I don't know. I'm the stakes that he obviously was providing just wasn't high enough personally for me. But yeah, just I think the movie for me was mid. It was a good ending to obviously this season. We can call it kind of like a season because we're entering a new times with obviously James. I keep saying his name wrong. James Gunn. Yes, James Gunn. So I'm kind of like looking forward to see where he's going to take us. But I think this was a good ending to that to this period. So But yeah, I'd say the movie was mid for me personally.
Yeah. I feel it was probably better than what I expected it to be, but it was a whole bunch of nothing, the whole movie. It was enjoyable enough, kind of getting through it, to be fair. Like, decent action in the movie, I can say that. But the plot was kind of all over the place. It didn't really know what it wanted to be. It was kind of a little bit of, this type of movie where, he's like a king and has to sort of deal with ascending the throne and sort of the responsibilities of that. And then in the other sort of breath, it's a movie about him, being a father, and then at the same time it's this kind of like buddy cop thing with his brother, and it was just a bit all over the place. I feel like.
So you feel like it was a bit convoluted, pretty much.
It was a bit convoluted, yeah. And this was sort of subject to a lot of reshoots, because there was sort of kind of rumors that it wasn't really sort of screening well with test audiences. So I feel like you can feel it in the movie where they've maybe done a lot of reshoots, try to sort of change things about the plot in the movie, and ultimately I feel it hasn't worked out well for the movie, to be fair, and the plot.
Fair enough. What about you, Daniel?
So last time I said this was either going to be 2 hours of CGI vomit or a standalone story that's not encumbered by being part of a bigger franchise. And from the way people were talking about it and from the way early reviews were depicting it, I was a little bit concerned. And as I watched it, I kept waiting for it to become bad, and it never really did, for me at least. So I think this is a movie that is being judged by its reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the shipwreck that everybody says it is. It's more that many people were hoping it would be. I think it's a solid action-adventure movie. And I think it improves just about every aspect of the original. Right? So characters are a little bit more fleshed out. Atlantis is a little bit more fleshed out. The spectacle is a little bit better. I think the fights are less interesting and the power use is less interesting, but the spectacle and the set pieces, I think, are more interesting. So I think anybody who liked the first one is going to like this one, and anybody who didn't like the first one is going to see this as more of the same.
Question on that. You said it was a little bit more fleshed out, and sort of built on the first movie. I don't feel like there was enough good character development amongst anyone in the film, to be honest. I feel like it was sort of a very one-dimensional, from the start of the movie to the end. There wasn't really much progression or growth within any of the characters, I could say.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. When I just say it's better, I mean better than the first one. The first one is very rushed, very crowded, but Orm has more of a personality. Black Manta, I thought, it's not a huge improvement, but a little bit. Dr. Shin in particular gets a lot of screen time in this, and I liked his performance in particular, even though it's a relatively small part of the story, and even though he doesn't have a huge impact. But I think it's just all slightly better. The exposition is less clunky than it was in the first one. Yeah. And I think this movie really benefits from having the same cast as the first movie, more or less. Except for 1 or 2 major characters, everybody's returning, which means they don't have to be established. It means they don't have to be characterized. They just keep going. And that means they have more time for the story, which is mostly them going from one place to the next. But they don't have to explain what Atlantis is. They don't have to explain what the Lost. They have to explain what the Lost Kingdom is, but everything else is already established. So that's what I mean by it's improved.
Okay.
As well, I feel like because it was underwhelming, and I think a lot of superhero movies do this, where especially they did this in Justice League. So the villain at the end of Aquaman, right? That they killed. What's his name? You guys remember?
In this one.
He was
in this one, yeah.
Time. He was the time.
Have to look it up.
It was
him and
the king's.
Sorry,
brother.
guys. Spoiler that, guys. Sorry. So who Aquaman and the brother killed at
We're
the
now
end?
in a segment, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the film should have been. He should have been the main antagonist.
Probably.
Same, they did the same with Justice League, right? Where I don't remember who the villain was again. I'm terrible with name, guys, if you haven't realized. But at the end of Justice League, sorry,
was it Steppenwolf in Justice League, the villain?
was that yeah, that we didn't get to see fight at all. Him, I felt the same way. He should have been obviously the main antagonist of the film. But like, and even in the Marvels as well, they did the same thing where Captain Marvel destroyed what was it, an AI force power, or pretty much like something AI was controlling the whole Earth, a whole planet. And obviously when she destroyed that planet, that kind of like killed that planet pretty much. I think they should have concentrated on that AI rather than obviously the villain in that film. I think a lot of superhero movies do that. I don't know why, it's just like they choose the wrong villain for the film, whereas it'll be much better if like the main threat was the threat throughout rather than just the end, and then they'll just give that main villain like a little segment. If you guys get what I'm saying. Yeah, so I think yeah.
So I think the villain here is held back by the fact. So I think the ending is by far the weakest part. It feels tacked on. It feels like a different movie. There's no connection between what's set up and what's paid off in terms of the overall story, right? But I think it's very clear that the ending was rushed in terms of how it was conceptualized, and like it just comes down to a fight, right? There's no payoff to anything. It doesn't. No character has any big arc or growth or has to make some big decision. Aquaman in particular makes one decision in this movie, and it's the worst one, which is freeing Orm.
Yeah.
If I could go back in time and cut one scene, it's the prison break.
That's very rushed as well. That was very rushed. The whole sequence.
You guys didn't like that? Oh no,
it was good, but
it wasn't.
So a couple of reasons. One of them is so the main reason for me is that they keep talking about how the fishermen have a personal grievance with Orm because he killed the king in the first movie, and so they will not forgive if Orm is broken out. And that never comes up again. It just doesn't matter. Orm is just part of the crew, and there's no instead of the prison break, that should have been he should have gone to the queen of the fishermen, who watched her father be killed in front of her by Orm, and says, "Hey, in order for the world to be saved, we have to work with Orm. We have to free him. And here's the concession I'm willing to make to get your kingdom on my side." That would have been much better. And it would have been shorter. It would have been a character moment, right? And it would have fleshed out the world a little bit. Instead, we get the prison break with the sand burrowing, the idea that there's these merfolk who adapted to the desert by drinking blood. That's a really cool idea, but that's its own movie. The whole sequence, if you just look at it as a clip, it's a YouTube clip. It's pretty good. The visuals are good. It's well paced. It's exciting. All of that. And it's superfluous in the story.
Okay. But for me, I actually enjoyed that scene. I just enjoyed that scene. There's no particular reason why. I just felt like it was a fun scene. Obviously, it's a lot of. Yeah. I'm kind of big on the entertainment value when it comes to a lot of these superhero films as well. It's not that I should kind of concentrate more on the actual story in itself, because I do. But like I said, I'm a 50-50 type of person, so I enjoy the entertainment just as much as I enjoy the story. So there has to be one of each. If there's just the entertainment without a good story, then I'm not going to enjoy it. So, but yeah, I think that definitely seemed, for me personally, provided the entertainment value that I needed. Because I do agree. Sorry,
I don't think the scene was the prison break was bad. I just felt it just seemed rushed. It just seemed to come and go quite quickly for me.
My big problem is it doesn't have consequences.
Yeah.
He just decides to go rogue, free a traitor to the kingdom, and commit all sorts. This should be war, right? This should trigger a war between the kingdoms, unless he makes he builds a court. But that's a different story than what they were going.
Yeah, and that goes back to them kind of having multiple different stories going on at one time, where there's the scene where he's kind of talking to the council when he's when they're debating about attacking the surface world, and obviously it's them showing him in that setting in terms of like, you know, having to make decisions and there possibly being consequences to it. And where you're saying there, Daniel, is that, you know, they probably could have done that for the prison break scene, not with, you know, the council, but obviously like, you know, I forget the king's name that you just mentioned there, but there could have been some type of sort of repercussion, some type of sort of, you know, conflict to come out of there where they just overcome it. But the way they tackle that conflict in the movie, where it's kind of like a brief little sort of, you know, flare up, should I say, which is then resolved pretty quickly, was handled quite poorly actually. And you find as well in the movie is there's not really many surprises. Like it kind of goes how you expect it to go. There was one moment in the movie where, you know, there was a little bit more drama. You know, there's the scene where, so no, I don't know if are we in the spoiler section? Can I mention spoilers?
Yeah, you're already in the spoiler section.
Not in the spoiler section, yeah. So so when what is it? Sorry, I just had a message.
You're gonna say when Black Manta kidnapped the baby.
Yeah, when Black Manta kidnapped the baby, and there was like a bit of drama there for about like 2 seconds, and again they just like breezed past it. They breezed past it, and didn't really address it again. Sort of moving past that. The whole Amber Heard situation as well, where, you know, they kind of like sidelined her out of the movie, so she got hit with Black Manta's beam, and then was pretty much sidelined for the rest of the movie as well. And again, there wasn't really.
Isn't that for a reason though? Because obviously,
I mean,
all the controversy that's coming around her name.
Yeah, so that was to do with the controversy. But I'm just saying it just felt weird within the movie. In the movie context, it just felt weird for her to sort of be completely sidelined, considering she was the mother of his child.
You know what? The kidnapping of the baby scene, I actually felt that was the first time where the stakes were high. I felt the fear in that one. I was like, "Ooh, that one was pretty." Even like the scene. Remember when he kidnapped the baby, and then he brought the baby back into his little spaceship, whatever you want to call it, and then obviously one of the other guys with the glasses came, and then the way he just gave him the look.
We're gonna get to him.
And the doors closed. Huh?
I said we're gonna get onto him. He was the worst character in the movie. But
Who, the guy with the glasses?
The guy with the glasses, yeah. But anyways, finish what you were saying.
I think I know why you're gonna say that, but yeah, in terms of like when the door closed, I was like, oh crap, like what the hell is happening with the baby? Like, what is he doing? Like that's the scene where I was like, oh, that's why I feel like I felt that fear. I think they should have done more of that. But like I said, the performance is great. So it wasn't nothing against the actor or character itself. It's just him as, you know, the main antagonist. It just wasn't doing it for me personally. In terms of the guy with the glasses, what was your beef with him?
From the very start of the movie, you could tell that he was going to betray Black Manta. And it was just the way that his character was handled throughout the whole movie in terms of why was he in so many positions where he could kind of influence the outcome of what was happening. For example, like the very last scene where he needs the baby's blood to sort of, you know, unleash the demon or whatever sort of the ultimate big bad was. Is that why was he the one there that had to carry the baby to sort of know where they needed to go? It just didn't make sense. It just like a lot of what he was doing in the movie just didn't make sense. He shouldn't have been there. He probably should have been killed off a long time, before. And it just annoyed me. It just annoyed me because it was too scripted. It was way too scripted and it was too predictable.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, there kind of needs to be a snake within the antagonist camp. So maybe it's a thing you just don't like the way that they execute this character. Like,
it was handled
very. They execute his character, yeah, rather than his character itself, because there obviously needed to be, like I said, there obviously needs to be a snake in order for Aquaman to do what he did. You know what I'm saying? Or there wouldn't be no opening for his baby to be rescued. And I see what you're saying. His character, for me personally, I think,
like he was a scientist. So if they'd given him a bit of a moral conundrum where maybe he was sort of like trying to discover something great, something that would maybe potentially move mankind forward, but then there's the conflict of, you know, you're working for this, you know, big bad, and then he's doing this, that, and the other. It would have worked a little bit better for me, but it was just like, you know, too on the nose. I feel it was too on the nose.
I thought that part was handled really well because we know what his motivation is, which is that his life's work is proving that Atlantis exists, and this is his only way of doing that because he's tried for years and years and he's just got nowhere. And now this guy comes along and promises him this big breakthrough, and so he goes along with it. And but he keeps crossing these lines while having moral qualms about it. So that all made sense, and I liked this. Like whenever the camera focused on him and was showing him conflicted, I liked that part. My problem with it was he was in this 5-second loop of, I'm not sure we should destroy the world. I'm ambivalent about that. But he never really did anything about it. Like at one point he surrenders to Aquaman at Orm, and I don't think that even goes anywhere, if I remember correctly. Like there's no complication that happens because Shin has a change of heart. Right? He's just the guy who's there and who's conflicted, and he stays in that place the entire movie.
Yeah, but to be fair, he's human though, and he has his limitations. So what could he kind of do? So that kind of fits in with his character, because he did do something, and it just build, because he has to build up courage, because obviously he was kind of like timid, obviously. So he built up the courage enough for him to do what he did, and so you could argue and say that was kind of like a big thing for a human to do what they did.
Well, but Black Manta is human too.
No, but Black Manta's got that sword thingy, and he's got the laser beam, so he's kind of like above human now. He's like he's like a Super Saiyan 2.
Sure. Yeah, true. But I mean, he tried to defect to Aquaman, and the script said no reset button, and then right. There could have been a storyline where so one of the big themes in the story is that Black Manta is unable to inspire loyalty from anybody, right? He's got this second in command, whose intensity level is permanently stuck at 11, and every sentence she said was a joy to watch. If you remember who I'm talking about. He's got this lieutenant who gives all the orders and carries out his own. Right?
Yeah.
And she's always at 11.
Yeah.
Like I imagine her making breakfast, and it's the most intense thing ever, right? So I think she's the only one who is permanently on Black Manta's side. Everybody else is kind of bullied into going along, and he's completely unable to inspire loyalty and sympathy in anybody. And as a result, at the end, he's completely alone. And Shin kind of falls into that pattern in that he signs up with Black Manta in order to get an inroad into Atlantis, so that he can have this, he can have his big breakthrough. But then he keeps getting mistreated the entire time, and he increasingly is unhappy with this arrangement. But he never pulls the trigger on actually defects. Right? He could there could have been a story development or a subplot where he joins Aquaman's side, and then as a result, they get the information they need, or they get the tools they need to defeat Black Manta. Any number of things could have been done, and they just worried that he was just stuck in this loop of, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're kind of like slating. Well, we're not slating. We're giving our honest opinions. But you said obviously the negatives, and let's look on the positives. Let's look at the bright side. What would you say was your favorite moment in the film?
I'd have to think about that, Daniel.
I did almost laugh out loud at when at the urine-based water magic. I could not believe that they actually put that in the movie because it's so juvenile and so stupid.
What was that scene?
So there's this running gag where Arthur Jr. keeps urinating on Aquaman's face.
Oh,
Aquaman learns to dodge it, and then Mira bends the stream so that it hits him in the face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was so stupid that I enjoyed it tremendously. Because I could this was just the point of, we do not care anymore. That there would this is the end of the franchise. Warner Brothers isn't even watching this. So I can't imagine that being put in. Like, if it wasn't a CG sequence, I would imagine it being a practical joke just to see if the executives are paying attention. And then somehow it stayed in the final version. Like, that can't be it because it's too expensive for a joke. But that's how it came across, and that was probably the funniest part in the entire movie. I was actually surprised at how unfunny the movie is. But actually, I think that made it better, because I thought a lot of the humor in the original didn't quite land. It came across as kind of a bit forced, a bit juvenile maybe. And this one is lighthearted and fast-paced, but not funny. And it doesn't try to be funny. And if you don't try to be funny, you can't fail. So I was expecting more jokes. I was expecting more quips, and there weren't very many. And actually, that made the movie more enjoyable for me, because it doesn't feel like every other superhero movie in the last 2 years where it's constant quipping all the time.
Yeah. I feel like the only funny part that I found was when he made his brother eat the cockroach. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I found that part funny, but like you said, I don't think it was a remarkably sort of a funny movie as a whole. I will say though, I did enjoy the dynamic between some of the two brothers, Aquaman and I forget is it On?
Yeah.
Yeah. Between the two, I feel like that was probably the best part of the movie, and if they'd focused on that the whole movie, I feel like it probably would have been a lot better than what it was. And just to put this out there, I know I'm saying a lot of negatives. I did somewhat enjoy the movie overall, but yeah, no, that was.
Well, obviously, I get why we're obviously going at this angle because it's like an end to an era, so we wanted it obviously to end with a bang, and I think it didn't end with a bang, but it ended just right. And so sorry to cut you off in case you wanted to carry on. We finished. You can carry on. Sorry, 'cause I was going to say my favorite part.
No,
Oh yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, my favorite moment, a bit dark, but it was when Black Manta kidnapped the baby. Yeah, like I said, that's the moment that actually gripped me into the film. Yeah, like I said, I felt the fear in that one, and as soon as the door closed, thoughts are running through my mind. I'm like, damn, someone needs to save that baby. And I was obviously throughout the film, I'm just waiting for Aquaman to actually find him. I was like, this is where we're gonna see Aquaman go ballistic. You kidnapped his baby. He didn't go as ballistic as I wanted him to go, but he went ballistic. And I enjoyed obviously the build up to the fight scene between them, even though I think it kind of was short lived. Still, I enjoyed the build up because that's when my attention was definitely gripped. So that was definitely my favorite moment in the film.
Which only goes to show that you mentioned that the movie didn't have stakes up until that point, but the world is being destroyed. Right, like
I just didn't feel
missions are literally cooking the planet, and we didn't see very much of it, but it's very clear that the world is basically in turmoil. And the only reason, and it's the surface that's dying first, which is why it's not apparent in the story immediately. But yeah, like a child being in danger is much more compelling than the world being ending. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So who would you guys say was your favorite character in this film? Or not even character, your favorite performance?
For me, it was because one of the problems I have with this movie is that everything is almost there, right? So you almost have character arcs in this. So there were a couple of places where feels like he's about to be a character, and then Aquaman starts punching somebody or something else happens. In the Pirate Haven scene, I actually really like the fact that Aquaman has to admit that Orm is the better king. But that wasn't really there, but that was kind of hinted at, and then it turns into a fist fight.
But I don't think he really cared though, because he's even made very clear that he doesn't really care to be king. So I don't think that was like. No, I agree with what you're saying 100%. But I don't think. I'm just adding on what you're saying. I don't think that's something that hurt his pride because he never really wanted to be king.
Yeah. Oh no, this isn't like a huge moment for Aquaman, but he's not happy. He has to admit it. But you can see on his face, he's a bit annoyed.
Yeah.
Right. It's not a huge. It's not a crisis, but yeah, when he has to admit that Orm should handle this one because Orm understands what the relationship between the king of Atlantis and the pirate king is, and he doesn't. Like there's frustration on his face, and kind of you go ahead, you take this one, right? But
I didn't see that, I just saw that as an opportunity for him to kind of like build a relation. Obviously, he's building a relationship with his brother, but to kind of like, cement it in a way. I didn't see. I obviously you two saw it, but I didn't see pride come in. I just personally thought, okay, this was kind of like his opportunity to kind of, because obviously throughout the film he was trying to build a relationship with his brother. You know what I'm saying? Even though his brother did the mad thing in the first Aquaman. But yeah, throughout the film, he was trying to like build something, actual bond with his brother. So I just saw that as an opportunity for him to.
Yeah, but he just went through a whole adventure trying to remove Orm as king, and now he has to rely on his skills as a king to continue. Right? That was the irony there.
Yeah, but he did make clear the only reason why he did that was because Orm was trying to destroy Earth. So it was by force.
Yeah, but he has to admit that Orm is a better king, like on a day-to-day level.
Yeah, he does. But what I'm saying is, I don't think that kind of like hurt his pride. I think he was kind of like welcome to the idea to do it because he saw it as another way of, trying to bond with his brother or trying to mend things, even though he isn't the one responsible for the mending. It should be his brother. But
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
But he
Obviously,
kind of has to admit that he shouldn't be there, right? Like he's there as the king of Atlantis with a prisoner, and the prisoner is doing the negotiations because he's better at it. Like it's a very short scene. It doesn't really go anywhere, but it's there. And for like 10 seconds, I was excited that that's what they were doing, and then they didn't really.
Nah, I get you. Sorry for cutting you off, though. Do you remember where you went off, where you got cut off from?
No, my point was just that there's a few places like this in the movie where you think they're doing something like this, and then they don't.
Yeah.
But Orm has a few of these. Like there's a scene when they're walking through the jungle, and he realizes that Aquaman doesn't even want to be king. And he's personally offended by that he lost the throne to somebody who doesn't want it. But it's like, again, it's like a one moment, and then they are chased by giant locusts for 10 minutes. But there's like it's like that actor is really trying, and whenever he gets a scrap of characterization, he just leans into it for as long as they will let him. So that was probably my favorite part overall.
That scene as well when they were in the jungle where was it Orm? I can't pronounce his name. Is it Orm? Norm? Orm?
Orm? I think so.
Orm? Okay, Orm. Yeah, well, especially with the scene where he was running. That was funny. That was hilarious.
Because he doesn't know how to run.
Yeah, exactly. And he ended up just blowing past. That was funny.
Yeah.
That was funny. Yeah. Javi, do you know who your favorite character was?
It was Orm as well. What did you say?
Orm as well?
Yeah, no, with Orm as well. I think sort of Dan summed it up, very well there actually. But I like Dan said, anytime he was given a little bit more to do, he took it really well, and he sort of really executed it really well. To be fair, but it wasn't really like there was a lot of characters that didn't get enough time to really shine and actually show their full range of acting skills. To be fair, so Orm for me.
And then they completely undermine everything about him in the last scene where he gets possessed by. For some reason, the Wikipedia page doesn't give the name of the villain, which is a bit strange. But you know what, like the zombie guy.
Yeah, let's just call him the Zombie King.
Yeah. So when is it Kordax? Yeah, it's Kordax. So when Kordax tries to possess Orm, he immediately succeeds. And it would have been really nice if Orm would make the decision to not give into that temptation, to basically in some way come to the conclusion that, look, I had my chance at being king and I lost, or even something like, you're offering me this power, but you would just use it to destroy Atlantis, and as the rightful king of Atlantis, I can't allow that. Like something like that.
Yeah.
Instead, he just gives in immediately and gets punched by Aquaman.
and that's the problem with the movie as well, is that if they had focused on that relationship between the brother and focused on the redemption arc of Orm throughout the movie, then what you're describing there would have paid off even better than what it would have in the current movie or in the movie that we got, to be honest.
Yeah, and it wouldn't even have taken that much, right? You just change a couple of lines.
Yeah, no, you just show him in a situation where he has to make one or two kind of decisions where you can go left, but you choose to go right, especially where they showed him experiencing the surface world as well, and maybe having that realization, again comparing it to the first movie where actually it wasn't the right idea to actually go and attack the surface world.
That's actually one thing I really enjoyed, that I was hugely frustrated in the first movie that nobody points out how stupid Orm's position is.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the first one, he basically says, the surface dwellers are ignoring us, they're polluting our oceans, we have to go destroy them. But you're hiding from them.
Mm-hmm. They don't know you're there.
Right? And this gets actually mentioned this time in the movie, right? Because Aquaman mentions it to the council.
Mm-hmm.
Basically saying we cannot expect them to respect our interests if they don't know we exist. But then it gets again dropped immediately, and even when they go public at the end, it doesn't tie together.
Sorry, that was just random comment. That was a cheap Black Panther move.
What was exactly?
Exposing themselves to the world.
Well, I
Just
kind of like
with
that,
Aquaman.
and they only could do this because it's the end of the franchise, right? Because they're completely changing the status quo,
Mhm.
and it hasn't been part of the bigger story at all that Atlantis exists or reveals itself.
Yeah.
So they only could do this because there were no limitations on where to take the story.
So
And I
what
think the
next?
scene was really, really lame. Like his speech at the end
It wasn't inspiring at all.
didn't land at all. Like I didn't even understand like where he was coming from, why he turned it into a joke.
But that fits,
Like
that,
this is the
that
most
fits into his
profound
character, though.
moment in history.
But guys, you
super.
guys are forgetting that fits into his character though. He's the funny guy. You know what I'm saying? So you have his serious moment, and then boom, you just hit you
But
with
the
the
whole
humor.
thing is about coexistence between surface and sea, and now he's actually achieving that.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, we don't actually see the political cost of this, right? How did he just do this unilaterally, and everybody else, hates him for it in Atlantis, or did he make some big concession to get them on their side, or did everybody was everybody else that impressed by his heroics that they stop asking questions? That doesn't type like that idea comes up a few times during the movie, but the pieces don't connect. It's not the payoff to his like on the surface. He kind of has this character arc about identity and being split between two worlds and all of that, and him bringing those two worlds together at the end could on paper be the end of his character arc. But is it?
I actually got two questions. The first question is, what is the box office sale so far for Aquaman 2?
We're just
Does anyone
past
know?
30 million on a $210 million budget.
Crazy.
So this is going
30
to be
million. 30 million.
30 million.
130 million.
Yeah.
Okay. I was
100.
gonna say.
Okay, it's not bad.
I thought you said 30. Okay, so where do they go next with this? Well, obviously with Aquaman. How do you think they should kind of like present him now? What, James Gunn?
Well, on
They're
paper,
not gonna
this is
come
the
out.
end, right?
What is the end for his character?
Yeah. So in the
Yeah.
in the reboot, if there is an Aquaman, it won't be played by Momoa, and
Yeah,
Momoa
I know, that's
too
what-
much to play a different character.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. How should his character be presented now? Do you think they should still keep the whole funny guy, serious at times, or should they do like with what they did with Batman? Because now with Batman, we've received different versions of Batman. So do you think they should keep this Aquaman, this style, or they should kind of like transition into a whole new one?
I would be open to a different style of Aquaman. I'm not as versed with Aquaman in terms of like the comics side of things. I do know that he was considered a big joke in the comics for how he was presented there. I don't know how he was presented, but I just understand that he was like considered a big joke. And obviously Jason Momoa did a lot to sort of bring the character, leaps and bounds, and make him a little bit more popular than what he was. I feel like if they went kind of the Thor 1 route with him, where it was like a little bit more serious, a little bit of the fish out of water kind of setting for him, I feel like that could probably work for the character. But again, I'm not super knowledgeable on how the character, what the key characteristics are of the character in the comics.
Yeah, the only Aquaman comics I've read is the run that inspired this series of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's basically reimagined as the king of Atlantis as opposed to the guy who talks to fish. And by the way, in both movies, he saves the day by talking to fish, which is a great running gag. And if this franchise had continued, they should have done it in each movie at least once. I think I think if you just make him less jokey.
Yeah.
Right. You essentially make him Black Panther in the terms of he's the king and he takes it seriously and he's very dignified and very calm and very
like stoic.
Takes everything seriously.
Yeah.
And that I think that kind of balances that it's he's still the king of Atlantis as his defining characteristic, but he's more regal as opposed to like the surfer guy who doesn't actually want to be king. I think that's enough of a difference, and that's the version I would want to see probably.
Okay, but yeah, so what do you think what should the audience expect? As in, like, what should the people that are going to go and watch this film expect from Aquaman 2?
Just, I don't know, just an okay time at the movies, to be honest. I don't know. It's an enjoyable enough movie to go and see.
Do you think it's gonna be like just a CGI fest? Nothing else?
I think it's more than that. I think the story is good enough. I think the pacing is good.
Yeah.
So my thing is kind of that I think all movies are too long. And for me, the best movies are the ones that are most straightforward in terms of plot. This one doesn't really have any. It has some slight subplots or tangents, but it's pretty straightforward, right? It's a scavenger hunt, right? You go from one place to the next, and in the end you reach the villain, and then they fight. I think, like, as far as like spectacle is concerned, I think it's pretty good. I think the scenery, it's kind of cheap to say it looked good, but like the way Atlantis was realized, I thought was pretty decent. I like the ancient Atlantean tech that Black Manta gets. I like it. It looks believably as a precursor to what the Atlanteans have, but still powerful. For example, like it's not bored. Like I get bored by CGI action very quickly, especially if there's no character. Like there's just enough character stuff going on that like the action has some context and meaning, but you're not going to get profound character arcs or anything like that.
Yeah. See, we're completely opposite, Daniel. To me, it's a very forgettable movie. I'm like trying to be as nice as possible. Again, I did somewhat enjoy it, but it's a very forgettable movie. If you have some free time and you're still with family and you want to go see it, then feel free to go see it. But if you don't see it, you're not really missing out on much, to be honest. And that's my kind of verdict on it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much like I said in the beginning. If you liked Aquaman 1, you like Aquaman 2 a little bit better. If you disliked Aquaman 1, 2 is more of the same.
Yeah.
Well,
and as well, like I'm very much a story person. I care about some of the story that's being told, the character development, the character arcs, and all that stuff. So because I didn't get in there, so if you're able to just go and enjoy, like you said, a little scavenger hunt, go from place to place, then feel free to go watch the movie.
Yeah, I think this was a popcorn movie. I don't think it was a classic, but it's definitely a popcorn film where you can definitely go out with the family and have a good time. Man. It was a fun movie. Yeah.
What did you guys think about the global warming stuff?
Again, it was touched on. It could have been that's the problem.
When was it touched on? I don't even remember.
So the idea is that using orichalcum, like the kingdoms of the sea used to use orichalcum technology, and it turned out to be this incredibly destructive greenhouse gas. And so there was a treaty where they all stopped except for the Lost Kingdom, and that is why they were cursed and locked in the ice and stuff like that. And now that global warming is happening is happening because of human activity, the ice is thawing, and that means the Lost Kingdom is no longer as lost as they were before, and that is why the movie happens. So this is a movie where the good guys invade a country for not meeting its emission targets.
Okay.
And that's what happens in the story.
Sorry, wasn't it the Orichalcum was being burnt and that was contributing to the global warming as well?
Well, that is a pollutant by itself. Yeah. So all Atlantean tech used to run on orichalcum and then nearly destroyed the planet because of that. And so they all agreed to stop using it, and the only kingdom that didn't agree was the Lost Kingdom. Yeah. And basically what Black Manta is doing, he's just burning orichalcum to wreck the planet in order to get revenge. Because in destroying the planet, he will also destroy Aquaman's life. That's his motivation. And he's doing this because he's being influenced by Kordax whispering in his ears.
Yeah, I think I must have missed that. I thought he was burning it to sort of speed up the process of actually sort of finding the Lost Kingdom or sort of thawing it out. But yeah.
But they do say at one point, like, they're not using, like, over the course of the movie, there's news reports of the disasters, right?
Yeah.
They get more and more intense. And at one point, there's really just one line. So if you missed that line, you had no way of getting this. But at one point, somebody says they aren't even using the orichalcum as fuel; they're just burning it, which is basically accelerating the warming process as much as possible. Like, it's not even being done for a good. It's not even a side effect of something else. It's just destroying the planet for its own sake.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. I didn't even realize the global warming subject was at hand.
Yeah. Again,
so it's mostly hidden in the exposition, right? Where I think Atlanta explains the history to Aquaman, which I actually thought was a pretty decent scene where he just, I think that's the only time he's humble in both movies, where he admits that, and I explained this to me, I didn't do my homework.
Yeah.
That was a neat, like, that was a neat little character moment, but it's like one line.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, final thoughts on this film?
I think we've covered it. I think it really suffers from not having a good ending when nothing comes together. It's just a sequence of steps that are fun to watch.
Yeah. Too many different movies smashed together in one movie. Probably 5 out of 10 for me.
What about you, Daniel?
Yeah, similar. I think I'm more positive on it than the two of you are.
No, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
So I kind of just like Atlantis. I like these characters. I think the biggest frustration for me was that nothing is quite there, right? You get hints at character arcs, but they don't really get there. You get hints at themes, but they aren't. They're kind of dropped immediately. Decisions don't really have consequences. Aquaman in particular is a really weak protagonist because he makes one choice in the entire movie, which is to break Orm out of the prison. And every other time he's just told where to go, then he punches people until he gets the next set of instructions and he goes there. And that's the movie. He has no character. He doesn't have to, right? Superheroes usually don't have one, but then somebody else usually does. So in a Batman movie, Batman almost never changes, but his villains do, or his supporting cast does, or something, right? Yeah. And here, neither of those is happening. Like, he doesn't get through to Black Manta. But he doesn't really change Orm either. There's like hints of all of those things, but they never quite get there because it's not a priority because we have a plot point to get to.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, personally for me, I thought it was a sufficient ending to this DC era. Yeah, I'm just pretty much excited to go into the James Gunn era and see what he's going to give us. Hopefully it will be as good as what he's produced for Marvel when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah.
He has a good track record, but my concern is mostly that it looks like they're just trying again, as opposed to having a better plan this time. Like, it still looks like a shared universe and a 10-year plan with 27 movies. It doesn't look like they learned any lessons. They just said, well, the last guy screwed up. We'll try again, and this time we'll succeed. Which basically means they're using like 10, 15-year-old strategies when the media landscape has changed so much, and will have in 25, 26 when this stuff comes out. I really hope they don't do any setup movies. I hope they do more self-contained movies that maybe build on each other or maybe characters cross over, but it's not a 27-part story.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
If you like Superman, you get a Superman movie. If you like Batman, you get a Batman movie. If you like whatever, Green Lantern, you get a Green Lantern movie. And they believably exist in the same universe, but it's not all one big story where you have to watch everything. I think that is if they try that, then they will fail again.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they've casted so many different kind of heroes and anti-heroes and villains already for Superman Legacy. So there's so many characters being introduced in that one movie. So I have faith in James Gunn, and we'll just see how it plays out.
Yeah, he has a good track record with making us care about characters like this, especially characters you never thought you would.
Yeah.
He's done it twice now, and that is why he got the job. But being the architect of this big franchise is slightly different than making a good movie that's character-driven.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right, guys. Well, it's been a great chat. Wait, what are we reviewing next?
Rebel Moon.
All right, guys, make sure you're on the lookout for that.
So what are your expectations for that? Like, have any, like, it's been out for, I think, 2 weeks now. Any of you seen it?
I've not watched it yet. Expectations, I don't know. Like, I actually think Zack Snyder's a really good movie director. I've enjoyed quite a few things that he has made. Most notably Watchmen. That's a very classic superhero movie. I really love that movie. I've not really paid attention to any of the trailer, any of the talk online or anything like that. I'm going into it with open mind, and we'll see what comes of it. But I've got faith in Zack Snyder.
I have watched. I haven't finished it. I've got like 20 minutes left. I want to save my opinion for the next one. our next review. But I'm not gonna join into the whole Zack Snyder crucifixion. I think a lot of people keep saying he's just known for his aesthetics and nothing else.
He has a long track record of what kinds of movies he makes, right?
I hear it, and I'm not too I probably see a lot of his films. I just don't know that he was the guy behind it. So, what films has he actually done that you think I probably watched?
Well, all of the DCEU, for one.
Okay.
Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League.
I enjoyed Man of Steel. I hated Batman vs Superman. I enjoyed Man of Steel. A lot of people didn't like Man of Steel. I don't know why, but I enjoyed Man of Steel. But I didn't enjoy Batman vs Superman. Okay, sorry to cut you off there, Daniel.
He also made, without looking up, he like Watchmen.
I think I've seen that.
If you haven't watched Watchmen, Watchmen's a very, very good movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Zack Snyder makes violent music videos that are 2 hours long, right? That's his brand, and sometimes that works well, sometimes it doesn't. And it also tends to work better when he's not in charge of story. And in the case of Rebel Moon, he's in charge of story.
Okay.
That's my concern. So I don't expect very much from the trailers. So as far as I know, this started out as a pitch for a Star Wars spinoff. And I don't know how much it's changed since then. But you can see that in its DNA. And like it all looks very pretty, and it doesn't look like any of it means anything. That's my impression from the trailer.
Cool. Well, we'll see. I should be watching it in the next few days.
Hi guys, it's been good talking to you this week. Definitely get that Rebel Moon under your roster and watch it as soon as possible. But hi everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week.
Ciao.
Au revoir.
Ciao. Bye.